following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Hump Day edition of Main Street Sports. Today on the program, we'll chat with Heather Williams, WCYB-TV, a little NASCAR conversation. Also, NCAA hoops. Getting to Chandler to the NBA. Tennessee State and Notre Dame, big announcement today. Actually, yesterday. We'll have more details. Paul Newberry with the Associated Press talking a little Braves baseball ahead of opening day. Plus, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Now to a couple of wacky guys in their own right, the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year who never sleeps, Bo Patton, and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yow.
What's going on, everybody, on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday? What a Wednesday it has already been. If you are not paying attention, we've got a huge story coming at you straight out of Murfreesboro. We'll get to it. All right, Hermitage. Well, okay. That's right. It was a Zoom meeting today. Forget that. Stupid Zoom.
It's all good. We'll get to it soon.
We will. But a lot to get to, like a ton. And so let's jump in. What do you say? First thing, though, normally we would do this backwards, but we're going to go back to the old way. Flip it, reverse it. We've got a short rundown today, but we want to get to it as quickly as we can. So we're going to send it back to JP to give you yesterday's results and today's schedule as best we have it on the rundown.
This is the rundown. All right, a light schedule and scores in college baseball. Vanderbilt over Austin Peay 16-2 yesterday. It was Western Kentucky 9-8 over Belmont, and Tennessee, number one team of the country, defeats Lipscomb 5-1.
16th ranked Vanderbilt won 12-2. Just FYI.
Okay, there you go. In college softball,
where'd you get 16 from? But now I see where you got 16 from.
Yeah, Vandy won. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. There you go.
All that matters. College softball yesterday. Ole Miss took two from TSU, shutting them out 10-0, 17-0. In minor league baseball, AAA, the Sounds opening day. Hey, a walk-off, 5-4. They get the win on opening night.
Corey Ray
in Germantown.
Yeah.
Good for the Sounds. I think we brought them good luck from earlier in the week. That's what we're going with. NHL last night, the Preds hung 6 on the Wild. Another 6 in the column.
Sixers all around.
Yep. NBA, the Jazz get the win in overtime over the Grizzlies, 121-115. On the schedule today, Columbia Central at Summit tonight, 6:30. Ravenwood at Independence, 6:30. Both of those baseball. Softball, first pitch today, Ravenwood at Independence at 5. Also at 5, Santa Fe at Cornersville. And Columbia Central at Laverne at 6.
Check your local listings.
Check your local listings for those. And hopefully check your local listings for scores from yesterday as they appear, if they do. So there you go. That is the abbreviated rundown, because we got some big news to talk about.
Yes, we do. Today's top story is a pretty big one, and it's a bittersweet day, especially for us. Last Thursday, matter of fact, we spoke with TWSAA Executive Director Bernard Childress. He did not tell us.
Yeah, we could have broken that news and gotten all of this out of the way, unfortunately.
But Mo, tell us what we've learned.
Well, we have learned that less than a week after he visited with us, his next visit with us will be as retiring or retired Executive Director of the TWSAA, Bernard Childress, who announced at a special called Board of Control meeting today that he will wind up his 13-year tenure on June 30th. So he will serve through spring fling and basically through the rest of the TWSAA calendar year. So Columbia native Bernard Childress, Columbia Central Hall of Fame member, Belmont University Athletics Hall of Famer, and 27-year TSSAA employee Bernard Childress will step down at the end of June. Has served again as executive director of that organization for the last 13 years after spending 14 as an assistant executive director, and certainly been a friend to this show for its entirety, been a friend to me pretty much for the overwhelming majority of my sports journalism career. And so he'll certainly be missed in that role, but you certainly can't argue with his reasons. He's got a couple of grandchildren that he's going to go spend some time with, and any grandparent out there can appreciate that.
You know, when we got this news, it was a little surprising, but then once you talk to Bernard, you didn't realize that he'd been doing this for 41 years. You don't realize that he'd been at the TSSAA for 27 of his 41 years in education and, athletic administration. You don't realize that he's 66 years old. He certainly doesn't look it, or he doesn't act it. I mean, no. So it kind of took us by surprise. But then when you take all that information into account, the grandkids, as you've said so many times, your parents and your kids' grandparents are not the same folks.
They're not the same people.
So. Yeah, I mean, you want to be. I see a change in my parents, and how they treat Charlie. So I don't blame him, man. And this is one of the things I love that he said was, talking about being able to go to a ball game and enjoy it without having to deal with all the questions that come with being the executive director of the TSSAA. You get a chance to go and
watch kids. Yeah.
It's a different mindset. And so congratulations to him. A storied career, fantastic. He oversaw so many positive things in the TSSAA. So he will be greatly missed. There's no question, but he already has a successor.
He does indeed. They did not take long to come up with that. Mark Reeves, who has been at the state office since 2008, I believe, after previously teaching and coaching at his alma mater, Springfield High School, and former guest on the First Takedown, has been voted by unanimous vote of the Board of Control, 12-0, as the successor to that role of executive director, coming in behind Bernard beginning on July 1st. So looking forward to that and to continuing our relationship with him as well. Both great guys, and Bernard will certainly be missed, and Mark will be great. And again, looking forward to that.
Yeah, no question. Stephen Bargatze, who is a administrator in the TSSAA office. I'm not sure exactly what
his title is, but he has been
what is it you say you do here? He's kind of always all around. Like, I mean, if you need something, ask Steve, and he's going to help you. So
hang on a minute. We're going to answer this.
We're going to find out. We had a great quote about the continuity that the TSSAA will have with Mark Reeves at the helm of the TSSAA, because again, Mark's been there, and it's kind of been tradition to just promote from within at that position. So, but he did. Stephen Bargatze,
Director of Student Services for the TSSAA.
And father of comedian Nate Bargatze, and you'll see momentarily where Nate gets his humor, said, quote, "The only thing that's going to change with Mark is the name on the affidavit when we get sued." And that is a phenomenal quote.
Is that black humor or what? I mean,
that's obtained. I assume obtained. Russell Venozzi tweeted it.
Yeah.
So I want to give credit to our colleague Russell V there. But yeah, That's about right. I mean, again, continuity. It's something the TSSAA has done for years. And years.
Yeah, in the article that we've got up on Main Street Murray and Main Street Preps, they have had 4 people in the position of executive secretary / executive director since that position was instituted in 1946. A.F. Bridges held the position from 1946 to 1972. Gil Gideon from 1972 to 1986. Ronnie Carter, another former wrestling coach, actually, from 1986 until his retirement in 2009. And then, of course, Bernard Childress from 2009 until June 30th. So, I mean, you've seen double-digit tenures out of that position for each of the 4 people that have held it. And Mark is in his mid to late 40s, I believe. And so he's pretty well positioned to continue that long-term, you don't want to say reign, but to serve long-term in that position, which I think is a good thing. One thing that was not pointed out in the article that we have up on the website, and it's pretty noteworthy, I think. Let me get to it real quick. Bernard Childress is one of 3 African Americans to have ever held the position of executive director of a high school athletic association nationally, following Lewis Stout of the Kentucky High School Athletic Association and Jerome Singleton of the South Carolina High School League. So,
and now there's a 4th, Alvin Briggs, in the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
Okay.
So
thanks for the update there.
Yeah, he was named last year, I believe, to succeed
after
Dr.
Steve
Savarese. Yeah.
Savarese, yeah. Okay.
So that's a short list and great company.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
All right, we need to take a break because we have Heather Williams coming up, and we're going to talk a little NASCAR, as a lot of folks didn't love last week's race, but there were a lot of things to love about it if you really paid attention. We'll let Heather tell you why you should have loved it and what to expect this weekend at Martinsville.
Why you should have been paying attention. Huh?
Well, it was a strategy race. It wasn't an action race, and you got to have some of those on occasion, So she'll tell you why you should have loved it and what to expect at Martinsville. So should be fun. We'll be back on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, after this from our sponsors. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes!
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yow, Patton J.P. Plant here on this wild and wacky Wednesday, bringing you the most timely and comprehensive sports coverage across the state of Tennessee in this segment, specifically as we reach to Bristol and bring in our weekly NASCAR guest, Heather Williams from WCYB-TV out in Bristol. But as has been the case over the last couple of weeks, we'll start this segment with a little non-NASCAR news as Tennessee High School has its fourth head coach in a calendar year, Heather.
I mean, why wouldn't you love a little excitement in three head coaching searches in 1 year? They've got their guy though now. The guy that they hired, wide receivers coach. He's been in the program for a long time. He's a Tennessee High grad. Probably should have went this direction to begin with, but they finally have their guy.
Well, it's hard to turn down a college coach. I get that, but
You should have turned down the college
probably
coach.
I mean, hindsight's 2020, right?
Right, for sure. I mean, I'm sure that was, he was the shiny object in the room, and you're drawn to him. But I haven't had a lot of conversation with the new coach. One of my colleagues actually went out to the press conference yesterday. I didn't go, but I mean, he's excited about Tennessee High, and sometimes that enthusiasm and that want to really be there means more than any college coaching experience. No
question. So congratulations to Tennessee High for finally getting their guy. But I just thought.
No, and to be fair, the coach that they had last year during the regular season was always just an interim coach. He's a longtime defensive coordinator. He had no desire to be the head coach, but they got to August. They didn't have a coach, so he offered to step in for a year. So to be fair, it's really only like the third.
Gotcha.
Only the third coach in the calendar year. Okay.
Yeah, only the third.
Yeah. Well, never mind then. Yeah.
We thought we had it bad with two head coaches and an interim here within the last 9 months, but it is what it is. But moving into NASCAR, Heather, NASCAR Hall of Fame unveiled the ballot for its 2023 class on Monday. They added 4 names to the list of 15 nominees. Matt Kenseth joins the list on the modern era ballot, and then Tim Brewer, legendary crew chief, 2-time Cup Series champion. And then in the Pioneer ballot, Sam Ard, who was an early star and champion in what is basically the Xfinity Series now, and AJ Foyt, who was a Daytona 500 winner in 1972 and obviously made quite an impact in other areas of motorsports. But I have a question. Sure. How in the world has Harry Hyde not been elected to the NASCAR Hall of Fame? This guy brought NASCAR to pop culture with Days of Thunder.
Well, I mean, if I'm being completely fair, I don't have a Hall of Fame vote. I'm not that important in the sport. But it seems to me that the committee has how do I say this diplomatically? An unhealthy fascination with more recent NASCAR
recency
figures.
Bias.
Yeah,
gets you every time.
And so I wrote a blog about it. I don't know, it's probably been 5 years ago. That they're just too infatuated, and I think it's because for a while the Hall of Fame was struggling. I think it's doing all right now, but to attract current fans, you have to have people that they know And so they just got really obsessed with getting Tony Stewart in immediately, which he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Junior didn't necessarily have to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I'm not sure he is a Hall of Famer, but hey, who am I and what do I know?
I mean, the thing with Junior is if you base it strictly on his Cup career, then no. But NASCAR will be the first person to tell you that the NASCAR Hall of Fame across all series and across things other than just being on the track. So I think if you take him as a whole, yes. But I don't think he necessarily had to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, eventually, sure. But first ballot, I have to.
Not when you only induct 2 people from a list that includes Neil Bonnet, Harry Gant, Harry Hyde,
and
Ricky Rudd, which
Ricky Rudd.
I'm not a big Ricky Rudd fan, but that's neither here nor there.
But his resume is comparable, if not better than Junior.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
like him or don't like him, I mean, if you look at the numbers say that he should be in before Junior. No. So, I mean, you're not going to get me to defend things like Harry Hyde not being in the Hall of Fame because, honestly, it should have happened a long time ago. I mean, I lobbied for probably 3 or 4 years before they finally put Wendell Scott in the Hall of Fame. And I think it's ridiculous that they're trying to put Janet Guthrie in the Hall of Fame as a whatever that Pioneer Award is or whatever, instead of just putting her in outright. I mean, she was the first woman to really compete in the sport. So how is she not a Hall of Famer? But again, I don't have a ballot, so I don't get to have any say, but I could talk forever about the things that I disagree with them as far as how they choose people.
Couldn't we all? That's the thing about Hall of Fame discussions is you're never going to make everybody happy. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So on Sunday out in Richmond, a lot of folks didn't really love to watch that race, and a lot of long green flag runs, not a lot of accidents and crashes. But the last stage, strategically was pretty great racing if you care about strategy racing. So why should people care about strategy racing?
Well, because it just puts anything could happen factor in there, right? I mean, when you're watching people run on different strategies, it wasn't necessarily the case this week, but you have things like, are they going to run out of gas? Are their tires going to wear out? I mean, things that you have no control over and they have no control over, and everybody's just sitting there watching to see what happens. And then also in this case, it's like, well, everybody has enough gas, but with fresher tires, can Denny Hamlin chase down William Byron? And he did, boy, in like 15 laps. I mean, and that's if everybody's on the same strategy, the guy that is out front is probably the guy that's out front, especially in these next gen cars. Like, tires make a huge difference. So to see, can somebody do that? That's racing in its purest form, not crashes and some of this other stuff, which I know fans, like the whole thing of watching people go through crazy crashes and walking away. It's that immortality thing. But I mean, strategy and tires and passing, that's racing. That's racing in its purest form to me.
Oh, I definitely agree with you there. There's no question. Another first-time winner, and as you said, at some point, Denny Hamlin was going to find his way to the front, and he did. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anyone in the garage area that needed to win more than Denny Hamlin, except for maybe Brad Keselowski. I mean, he's a guy that's expected to be in the playoffs. He's made the championship for 4 or 5 years in a row now. I mean, he's expected to be up front and in the playoffs, and they were headed down the road that was not up front and in the playoffs. But he's really good at short tracks. I mean, expecting to be good again this weekend at Martinsville. And even though it's on the dirt, he probably is going to be pretty good at Bristol, even though he's not a dirt guy per se. He is a short track guy. And so this little stretch right here could be very good for Denny Hamlin as far as getting his season back on track, because he is kind of the poster boy for the Toyotas have struggled. I mean, there's some guys who've had some pretty good runs. Martin Truex Jr. has had some runs. He's top 5 in the points, but as a whole, that organization, that manufacturer group has not had a good year. That's how it goes sometimes. What can we expect at Martinsville this weekend. One of my favorite races. I love Martinsville.
Tempers.
There's that.
Yeah, tempers and feuding. I mean, Denny Hamlin was front and center of it last year when he got bumped out of the way by Alex Bowman in the fall race, and then there was the year that Denny Hamlin got into it with Chase Elliott, Matt Kenseth, and Joey Logano. I mean, the list goes on and on. So there'll be one guy that walks out of that race happy, and everybody else will be in a fight with somebody by the end of the night. I think it'll be like I think my friend, the crew chief, described it as Martinsville on steroids. I mean, Richmond on steroids. It's going to be like what we saw at Richmond on the closer quarters, which is probably going to lead to more spin and a little more action than we saw in Richmond, but still the ability to pass and use some strategy if you want to try to get track position.
Here's the fun part. It's a night race. Night races are always more fun. And that's one of the things that makes Richmond's second race good is it's at night. But yeah.
Yeah, and the first time that they're going to race NASCAR Cup Series under the lights at Martinsville.
It will be the first time ever under the lights at Martinsville, and the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 400. You know what that sounds like? Jeremiah Peabody's polyunsaturated, quick dissolving, fast acting, pleasant tasting green and purple pill. Once again,
sort of
Ray Stevens.
Although I would not recommend actually ingesting Blue Emu.
Probably not a good idea.
Heather, I hate that we have to get you out of here so quickly, but we do have a hard break at this in this segment, but we do appreciate it as always. I really enjoy it, and looking forward to seeing what happens at Martinsville this weekend and talking to you about it next week.
Yep, I'll be at the race, so I'll have a report from a personal view. So
firsthand. There we go.
Yeah.
Heather Williams with WCYB-TV out of Bristol with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. When we come back, we're going to go live to South Bend for some news. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Tune into a guy that always has a take. It's Casey's Take on Sports, Thursdays at noon on Main Street Media social channels and wherever you get your podcast. The Titans to the Vols, local high school sports in his own backyard of Dixon and Cheatham counties. This is Casey's Take on Sports, dropping each Thursday at noon. Tomorrow, he'll take on Kansas winning the national championship, a little Tiger Woods conversation, and more. It's Casey's Take on Sports, Thursdays at noon from Main Street Media.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Awaiting the beginning of a press conference from South Bend, announcing some more information, I guess, about the Notre Dame Tennessee State matchup that is set to take place September 2nd, 2023 at Notre Dame Stadium. A lot of folks in the chat not happy. If you are Notre Dame fans, this is pretty impressive. I mean, you know, these folks are angry.
The Notre Dame folks?
Yes, because they've never played an FCS team before.
Yeah, and I mean, that's an interesting matchup to break a non-FCS run against, I think. I mean, obviously, TSU is a celebrated HBCU football program traditionally. The success has not been there of late as an FCS program. Yes, FCS, I'm sorry. But, you know, traditionally, again, in terms of black college football, TSU is one of the standard bearers. And I guess that is the tradition that makes Notre Dame TSU a draw. But I mean, I think I can understand if you're a Notre Dame fan who has never played an FCS program, the irritation. You know, why now?
The heck is this?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
And I think that's the question. What are they doing here? Why? What does playing an FCS team benefit Notre Dame?
I don't know how this benefits Notre Dame. You know, and that's why I think it would be great to get into this press conference, and hopefully someone will address that, because I don't know what Notre Dame gains from this. Now, obviously, for Tennessee State, it's a feather in their cap. I don't know what other HBCU football program has played a Notre Dame, an Alabama, a Penn State, a Texas, that kind of thing. So, I mean, this is something, and this is something that Eddie George will be able to sell. Certainly Jackson State, which I would think this is a direct dig at. You know, this is something that
this is a replacement for the Classic. Is it not?
I don't. Is it? It's the Labor Day week. Yeah.
This is a replacement game for the Classic.
For the Southern Heritage.
Yes.
So I mean,
you don't want to play us? That's fine. We'll just go to Notre Dame.
Yeah. And it's something that Eddie George and his staff can go sell in a number of living rooms here over the next year. Son, I don't know who you're talking to, but I guarantee you ain't none of them playing at Notre Dame.
There's zero question there.
So, you know, I mean, you can sell that.
Absolutely you can. And it was ironic because one of the Twitter accounts that we follow, 28th and Jefferson, is phenomenal. But he said, I say he or she, I'm not sure who is behind the account. The account tweeted.
Well, since we are addressing equity later in the show, that's probably a good idea.
But the account tweeted that, you know, it was weird to get two press releases back to back, one of which asking would fans be okay with turf at Hale Stadium, and then to get, you know, by the way, we're going to be playing Notre Dame. And I said, well,
turf's paid for.
Got to pay for the turf somehow.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's a great thing for Tennessee State. I do think that Tennessee State is trying to bring the big time to them, right? Make the big time where you are.
Where you are, yeah.
And that's That's
and-
what Eddie George brings to you as well.
And trying to raise their visibility, especially in a dying conference.
Absolutely.
Even with the new configuration of Big South / Ohio Valley Conference, TSU's got to do some things to keep themselves relevant until the winning comes in particular.
Yeah, no question. And I just asked in the live chat, do y'all got clocks up there?
What time is this 2:30 press conference, huh? Yeah.
So, I mean, we're still waiting on the press conference to begin. But again, I don't think that if, and all due respect to Coach Reed, Coach Reed's not getting this done. They're not playing at Notre Dame if Rod Reed is the coach.
Sadly true. I mean, you got to use what you got to get what you want. I mean, Eddie George is he's a celebrity. He's a guy. He's nationally recognized name. He played at Ohio State. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He played for the Tennessee Titans. He is a name that people know, from coast to coast. And hopefully that's going to be something that Tennessee State can take advantage of in a number of situations. And certainly that was the case in getting a game at Notre Dame for the 2023 football season. And again, hopefully it can be the case in some living rooms here over the next while, as well as they try to increase the talent level.
Let's go to South Bend now for the press conference.
To our city, the bands, the game, and it had always been a goal to try and bring some of that here if we could figure out a way to do it. As you know, our scheduling matrix is so complicated that you're always sort of trying to find that opportunity, and it happened to present itself with the way this year's schedule worked out. And so when we saw the opportunity, we were thrilled when we reached out that Dr. Glover and Dr. Allen and Eddie all were enthused about the opportunity. I can't thank them enough. Father Jenkins as well. And of course, Marcus and Ron Paulus, who played a lead role in putting it together for us. It was a lot of people coming together very quickly to take advantage of the opportunity. And I think it's going to be a really special day for the University of Notre Dame and our program.
Dr. Allen, go ahead.
Yes, and so first of all, I want to thank Jack and Notre Dame officials for hosting us here today. This is a special moment. It's a special moment in the college landscape because you have a first, and it's the first time that this historic program, Notre Dame, will be playing an HBCU institution and an FCS institution. And so what that means to us is that, we have an opportunity to really expose our brand. It's an iconic brand. It's filled with a lot of history. We have a lot of passionate fans. We have a dynamic band. So there's a huge entertainment value when you talk about Tennessee State University, not only as an HBCU, but as a collegiate sports program. When you think about some of the icons, names such as Richard Dent, Joe Gilliam, Ed Too Tall Jones. And then we know that Notre Dame has their own share of icons, right? And so the house that Newt Rockney built, Jerome Bettis, and I grew up a fan, right? Chris Zorich, and so many memories were built and shared here at this iconic venue. And so when our kids have an opportunity to play on September the 2nd, 2023, they'll be ecstatic, but they'll be able to showcase what we do at Tennessee State University. And when we hired Coach Eddie George, I knew we had someone that was a high character individual, a football mind, but someone that was going to really change our program, change the trajectory of our program, and get us back to a championship level because he pours into our young men. And, being part of that journey as the director of athletics is phenomenal to see every day. And so this game, again, is huge for our program. So many people are a part of this, making this happen. You all have a young, bright coach that I know is going to lead this program back to national prominence, and it's going to be a special day in college sports. So that's my remarks.
Thank you very much. We'll now open the question and answer portion. Media members, please raise your hand and we'll get you the mic. We ask you to state your name, your affiliation, and who you're directing your question to. So please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. We'll start up front. Patrick, go ahead. Oh, Patrick.
Patrick Engel, Blue and Gold Illustrated. For either Eddie or Marcus, how much did the, I guess, Ohio State connection, or however you guys might have crossed paths because of that, kind of play into this, or your guys' kind of hand in getting this to happen?
Well, again, it's going to be, I think, a storyline that both of us played Ohio State, but this is so much bigger than Ohio State. This is about Notre Dame and its first opportunity playing HBCU, and I think that's where our focus is going to be, obviously, as a football program, and that's something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with it at all. I don't think me and Marcus never really talked about playing each other based off of Ohio State. It's coincidence. When I got wind that we were going to play Notre Dame, immediately I was like, oh my gosh, But when I really looked at the opportunity for our kids to come to this university and have an opportunity to play in a national stage, to show really the nation what Tennessee State is all about holistically, the colleges, the pageantry, our tradition, our rich history, not just in football, but just as a university. Was a wonderful opportunity, and it's bigger than that, So it's not often that you have a chance. It's the first time it's been done to have a chance to compete against the best, and we preach that we want to play the best anytime, anywhere, and it's just a wonderful opportunity that presented itself, and I'm glad that we made it happen.
And then Marcus, for you, for this kind of historic game and Notre Dame's long history to happen under your watch, what does that mean to you as being a black head coach here?
Well, it's a huge honor, right? In that I understand I'm a representation for many others, and I think this game represents opportunities for all individuals. And so it's a great honor, and I couldn't be more grateful for Jack and Father Jenkins for putting this thing together. And but I take it with the utmost respect and utmost appreciation for this opportunity.
Mike, you're up next.
All right, Mike Berardino, South Bend Tribune. Jack, I'm sure there were plenty of opportunities, plenty of potential HBCUs that you could have considered. Did you engage in those talks with any of the other options, or because of your history with Tennessee State, this was the one? Maybe that first.
No, it involved first some research about the state of programs, and I had no idea how many national championships they won. And you see that number, and you say, "Oh, this is a pretty good match." They won more than we have, and some of the iconic people who played for them. But I'll tell you, the thing that struck me the most as we considered our options was the trajectory of this program. I mean, what they're achieving, whether it's the evaluation of adding hockey in partnership with the Preds and the NHL, the investments they're making into the football program, it just felt right that this was a program in the right position at the right time to do it. And we're really excited about the additional programming we think we can do around this game. I think there's opportunities for our presidents to do some things together, faculty, certainly the bands beyond halftime. We got to take advantage of that. So it's just a great opportunity, and they just felt like the perfect partner. That they could make it work was just fortuitous for us.
And then the MLK Day experience with Howard, how much did that even spur this as something to build on?
So there you have it. Now I know
Coach
why
Bray
Tennessee
claims 100% credit
State.
for this.
Kind of answered.
So that's just
one of our questions.
Give it to him.
TSU has more national championships.
We
than
had
Notre
been
Dame.
talking about this for a while, but the success of that and all the benefits we saw for our student athletes.
You'll have to look to see when the last one was.
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
And the last one for me, Dr. Allen.
Then again,
what
you'd have
does
to
this
look to
mean
see
in
when the
terms
last
of
Notre Dame national
facilities
championship
or
was.
guarantee
Oh.
that you'll get
There you go.
It might have been the same year.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I was interested to hear the name Ron
on your home field.
Paulus
Is this going to get
mentioned.
is this going to get some artificial turf for you?
Doing these days at Notre Dame or elsewhere, but I actually got to cover him a game that he played in his senior year at Berwick High School in
not only
Or
in
Pennsylvania when I was on loan up
holistic,
at USA Today.
in
So
our student athlete
interesting.
development programs,
Well,
like you referenced, our
let's take a break.
facilities,
Halftime
advance our
will be
programs.
short and
We
sweet,
know
but
that,
we'll get to it.
we
So
need
stick around.
support.
Main Street Sports Day,
So
presented by Mid Tennessee
this
Bone and
game
Joint.
guarantee,
Back at you
is
after
something
this.
that will be respected, but it also be
This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
All right. What's trending on Twitter today? Sonic movie. Remember how did you watch the first Sonic movie? I did not. But there was a time that like they went back in and like redid the movie because so many people complained about how bad it was. They took it out of theaters and redid it. Do you remember that?
And this is Sonic Hedgehog, by the way,
Yes.
not the fast food chain.
No, well, I mean, if they made a movie with those two guys in the car, it'd probably be better than the Sonic Hedgehog movie.
the one that they had to redo. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, not a lot going on Twitter today, but again, like I said, I want to save all the fun stuff for Wild and Wacky, which comes up later this show. So, just FYI, in case you guys were wondering, Jada Pinkett Smith said that Will shouldn't have slapped Chris Rock, and wow. She could have come to could have come to the side. She could have stood by her man, and yet chose violence or not violence.
That's. I could have really gone without knowing that. I really could have.
It's unfortunate how poorly at this point. I mean, it's almost like she's toying with us as a
she's
population.
toying with somebody.
She's toying with her husband is what she's doing.
There's no question.
And I'm just going to tell you, I try to stay out of other people's houses and that kind of thing, but she could be toying with her ex-husband.
And probably should be, but hey, who am I? What do I know? Anyway, let's get back to it because we got a lot to get to. A lot of NCAA basketball news, more news, and some equity things that we should probably get into. So yeah, stick around. Second half comes back after this.
Welcome in, everybody, to another fantastic edition of Mornings on Main Street. Fun show planned for today. Please tell me you know who this is.
Of course I know who it is. I mean, I just want you, let's say it together.
You have no idea, do you?
Your car broke down, you're walking.
That's true.
Hey, what
is this thing on?
Hold on a second, Chris. Hey, what did I tell you about comedy?
Right.
Let's do comedy.
Make sure that it's funny.
It gotta be funny. I figure it's easier. It's harder for you to say no if we do this live.
I'm still waiting to meet you with the crystal, so I'll take anything.
We'll get it all done there. Thank you. As the voice of the crowd will be me as Bob Hope, and has that cute whale with the pearl necklace is.
So I'm going to be Russell Brand, and I just want to go ahead and give a preface that might be really annoying. So
okay,
all right,
it's a preface. Preface is what happens when your girlfriend's going out on the town and you're like, hey, get ready. Say, gotta put my face on. Grilled ground lamb and beef wrapped in lavish and topped with a savory tomato
It's
sauce.
lavash.
What is that?
Lavash.
I told you, you're dealing with the redneck country boy on this side over here of the screen.
That's okay.
Time for the second half of Main Street Sports today. Coming up, we'll be joined by Paul Newberry, the Associated Press, talk a little Braves baseball opening day tomorrow night versus the Reds. Also, we've got the 2022 Maui Invitational has been announced. Kennedy Chandler, the NBA, and equity in college sports, ? All that and more straight ahead, which means right now, Main Street Sports Today, second half with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yow.
What's going on? Y'all having a good Wednesday? Good hump day, as they say. I know I am. It's always a good day. I have, and I'm trying to find the photo in which that I could find. There it is. The Maui Invitational Field for 2023. So I guess this is the Maui Invitational is typically like preseason, right? When
it's late November, early December. Thanksgiving is
so this is not the next Maui Invitational.
No, it's the 2023.
The 2022 field is not terrible, but the 2023 field, this is what we're talking about because Tennessee is involved. Kansas, Gonzaga, UCLA, Tennessee, Purdue, Marquette, Syracuse, and Chaminade. Kansas, Gonzaga, UCLA, Tennessee, and Purdue.
It's not shabby.
As Ron White would say, loaded.
That's solid. I mean, that's something to get you ready for conference play and postseason play as well.
And it'll help you out a little bit on that net score, I feel like.
Yeah. There's some quadrant one.
Yeah, a lot of quad ones there.
Contests in there. Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like that's positive there. So yeah, congrats to the Maui Invitational for being the premier mid-season tournament for sure in 2023. They got Arkansas, Arizona, Cincinnati next year, so they got some good ones. Texas Tech, but not that level.
That's just the appetizer.
Yeah, no question. And then yesterday we learned that Kennedy Chandler is headed to the NBA. He has obtained legal representation. So therefore he will be ineligible to return to college basketball.
And we're not necessarily surprised.
Yeah, this was expected, but here's the thing. Halfway through this year, had you told me Kennedy Chandler's going to the NBA, I'd have said he's an idiot. But the way he played in the second half in conference play in the tournaments, Kennedy Chandler is definitely a first-round pick.
Secure the bag.
Yep, absolutely. Go get your money.
Go get it. Yep.
And I'm not mad at you. So thank you for your time
for
in
your service.
Thank you for your contribution to the program. I would love to see him and Zakai Ziegler on the floor for the next couple of years together, but it's okay. We will march on.
Well, they've got another kid coming though, don't they? Kid from Knoxville Catholic.
Yeah,
BJ Edwards.
I think that yes, and there are a couple of pretty highly regarded recruits headed to Knoxville. So again, Rick Barnes is reloading. And
we've probably touched on this before, but I'm going to touch on it again. You know, the people that thought that Rick Barnes was coming to UT looking for a soft place to land after he got gone at Texas and didn't think he was going to go after it or get after it, clearly did not know Rick Barnes.
Clearly. So, I'm excited for Tennessee basketball over the next few years. I really am. Before we get to the next segment, I wanted to mention, and I saw a retweet from Teresa Walker. I'm not sure where it got, but apparently the ratings from Women's March Madness were the highest in 18 years. That's pretty impressive. I mean, then again, you know, when you're talking about, you know, some of the bigger names in basketball, and you've got Dawn Staley in there against Gino Auriemma, and it's as unfortunate as to say UConn being good is good for women's basketball. But so is Tennessee being good, right?
I wouldn't mind seeing what college basketball looked like with the UConn not being good, but I mean,
but the UCF UConn game drew 1.13 million viewers.
What was that in the
Sweet 16?
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
And the thing about that is UCF played well. I mean, they had a shot. So nonetheless, nearly 26 million hours were viewed across ESPN platforms through the first two rounds. That's great. That's what you need to see. You want to see those early round games getting as much love as the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
And women's basketball is proving that it can be sustainable as its own product. Sorry. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have you don't have to approach this as where we're going to do for the women what we're doing for the men just out of an obligation. I mean, it's good business to do for the women what you're doing for the men, given the product that the women are putting out there.
The NCAA did a gender equity review.
They reviewed themselves?
The police investigated the police and found there was no wrongdoing.
Hey.
No, there was a gender equity review. I'm not sure who, Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink, a law firm. So no, but they did pay them. So I guess you get what you pay for.
Well, those people knew who was paying them for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
they knew where the check was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But they did have some things that the NCAA needed to improve upon, and they presented them with the information. And you know, there's an article on The Athletic that basically, you know, from Chantel Jennings saying they have a chance. The NCAA has a chance to be as equitable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could not get couldn't get the what is it?
Enunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay.
The mark on
Spanish
the
word.
accent, the emphasis, emphasis on the right syllable.
Yeah, equitable.
Equitable. I couldn't figure it out to save my life.
If the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Equitable.
Equitable.
Anyway, so I would encourage you to go to The Athletic and read the story about the NCAA having a chance to gain social and financial capital. She did not. She basically said, "Don't hold your breath." But I do like they're at least taking some small steps. I think some of them are backwards, but they're showing a little bit of initiative.
Well, they're showing a little bit of self-awareness, which is the first step. They know that they're not getting it right. Of course, they've been told enough times. So
both in public and private. Yeah. There's a lot more to get into there, but we don't have time for it because we have to talk about the Braves, and that's just going to happen. So Paul Newberry of the Associated Press joins us right after this. Y'all stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Patton J.P. Plant with you here on this Wednesday edition. Before we get to our guest, we have to give you your daily dose of this day in a Braves history. So we send it to Mo. Tell us what happened in Braves history on this day.
On April 6, 2004.
I had not even graduated high school yet, Mo.
Well, there's a lot of things that happened pre-Chris Yow, to be honest. But hey, Braves legend Hank Aaron enjoyed the first reference alphabetically in baseball history books until this day. When San Francisco pitcher Dave Aardsma, A-A-R-D-S-M-A, made his major league debut versus Houston. One of the few lists that Hank Aaron has been knocked down in.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's Ards. I remember him. Yeah. So that's interesting.
From his debut in 1954. So basically he held that spot for 50 years until Aardsma. So
how about that?
April 6th was not a very busy day in Braves history.
Clearly. That's all right though. We'll take what we get. And we now go to our guest on the phone, Paul Newberry of the Associated Press, who is, I'm curious if he's been watching some practice rounds of the Masters and getting ready for that, because I know it's a busy week in his world with Braves opening day and the Masters this week. So, Paul, how are you? What have you been doing today?
Trying to stay dry. It's a little rainy here in Augusta. Yeah. I'm listening to a lot of weather horns going off, and again trying to kind of shut in today. Haven't been able to get out there very much because it's in fact everybody's now fleeing back inside again here as we're in another weather alert, as they say.
So you are covering the Masters practice round from the tent, then, huh?
It's a little better than a tent.
Well,
more like a very luxurious press building they have here in Augusta. They don't skimp on the money here at Augusta National.
Well, nor should they have to. Yeah. So will you be going back and forth across 20 this weekend, or are you just posting up in Augusta and you've got somebody filling in for this season opening series at Truist Park?
Oh no, the great Charles Odom will be my colleague in Atlanta. Will be covering this opening series. I believe I'll be at a game first of next week. I'm gonna get to my first game, but I traditionally miss when they open at home. This is often their week, so it's been a while since I've seen a Braves an actual opening day. Maybe when they opened Truist Park, it seems like that week maybe they were a little maybe a week into the season, so I'd already done the Masters and then was able to go to the first game at the new park.
There you go. Well, Paul Newberry of the Associated Press, the multi-talented, multitasking Paul Newberry, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And Paul, kind of wanted to check in with you. Obviously, the Braves do open their series their season tomorrow night. The defending world champion Atlanta Braves open their season against Cincinnati. That's a 7:00 Central Time start on the Deuce, ESPN2, if you are so inclined to watch. But obviously it's been a pretty tumultuous off season. I guess specifically the last 2 or 3 weeks. Do you feel like things have settled down around this team as they get ready to open?
Yeah, I think they're going to. I think obviously there was a shock at losing Freddie Freeman. I don't think anybody saw that coming, until it did. But I think the general sense around the club and the city is that they made the best out of a bad situation by going and getting Matt Olson and then using some of the money maybe they didn't spend on Freddie Freeman to sign Kenley Jansen and bring back Eddie Rosario. So, I think some of the moves they made pretty quickly right after, it was apparent that Freddie Freeman was not coming back, sort of, ease some of this kind of concern that maybe, Liberty Media was kind of on the cheap and, looking to save money and ended up, sort of forcing Freddie Freeman to leave. So I think some of the moves after that, have everybody still feeling pretty good about this club going into the season.
It's interesting that you say that, Paul, because, there was a report, I think last week or so, that the clubhouse was a little stunned, a little shaken by the stance that the Braves took with regards to bringing Freddie Freeman back or not. And I don't know if you had a chance to go down to spring training or anything like that to be around the players leading up to this opener tomorrow night, but would you say stunned or would you expect any stunnedness to linger into the season with this bunch?
Well, I felt that report. I know which one you're talking about. I thought was a little, where you're kind of, looking for a mountain on the molehill. Yes, of course they were, I'm sure the clubhouse was stunned when they made the trade for Olson and it was clear that Freddie Freeman was not coming back. But I mean, guys leaving teams and getting traded, that's part of the business. And I think, again, maybe if even the players, much like some of the fans were thinking, is this, cutting budget and the team's going to be weaker, because they've decided to cut ties with Freddie Freeman. They don't want to pay what he's asking. Again, I think that was quickly put to rest when they, rattled off again the Olsen trade, the signing of Jansen, the signing of, bringing back Eddie Rosario. I think everybody, pretty quickly said, no, they're still trying to win. They've just, I think Freddie Freeman was just basically the Braves, like most of baseball now, are ruled by analytics. I think they made a business decision that they would rather have 28-year-old Matt Olson for a longer period of time than they, a 32-year-old Freddie Freeman for 6 years. So, Olson for 8 rather than Freeman for 6. I think they just did analytics on that and decided that's the way they wanted to go with it.
Offensively, this team, it certainly seems to be the strength. I mean, the fact is that this team offensively from top to bottom is very, very good.
Oh yeah, I agree.
If there's a weak point, where is it?
Well, I think starting pitching, the depth there. Their bullpen probably covers that a bit because I think the bullpen is also, right there. I mean, if the strength of this team, it's 1 and 1A or the offense and the bullpen. So, again, in today's game, I don't know that you need, 5 great starting pitchers anymore. But they've got 3, and assuming they can stay healthy, that's a pretty good top to the rotation. And I think they can fill in, the gap, the spots below that. And don't need guys to go, with the bullpen, probably more than 4 or 5 innings. But I guess the starting pitching, because they didn't really, there was some thought that they may, and I guess they still could, maybe try to add one more veteran to the rotation. But I think they're pretty set on what they're going to go with, these, the younger guys, Kyle Wright, Tyler Davison. And I think they'll probably even use a 6-man rotation through the first month of the season just to kind of, again, not overtax, these arms after a limited spring training.
I think it tells you a lot about the team when your top 3 of Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and Ian Anderson would be considered the weakest part of the roster.
Yeah. When we say the weakest part of the roster,
it's relative.
Relative to the rest of the roster, because they probably have one of the better, certainly top 3s of any team in baseball. So, yes, as long as those guys are healthy and don't have some unexpected drop off, their starting pitching should be fine. And again, they've been trying to push Kyle Wright into more of a prominent role. Everything indicates, that he's got the stuff to be a good major league starter. He just hasn't, shown it. And I think maybe they're hoping, that performance he had last year in the playoffs, where he came out of the bullpen and kind of righted the ship there, might be, maybe that's the confidence boost he needs to kind of finally, take what he's shown in the minors, to the major league.
Speaking of somebody that needs to take that next step, and we saw some good things out of him in his last spring training outing, this has got to be a make or break year for Sean Newcomb, does it not?
Oh yeah, I think it was very questionable, certainly after the injury to Luke Jackson, which is a blow to the bullpen. But after, before that injury, there was still some question, I think, of whether Sean Newcomb would even make the team. And he was out of options. So I think the general consensus was he was just making the team because they, would risk losing him if he didn't make the big league roster. So, this is definitely a make or break year for him. If he doesn't to show some potential in the bullpen, or if he somehow winds up back in the starting rotation. But yeah, this might be his last year in Atlanta. If he doesn't sort of live up to that potential he has shown, that when he first came up, where he looked like this guy was going to be a real stalwart of the rotation, and it just hasn't worked out that way.
Absolutely. Speaking with Paul Newberry of the Associated Press, talking little Braves as we get ready for their opener tomorrow night. Paul, you mentioned Luke Jackson recently went on the 60-day injured list. And as Chris and I discussed that development a few days ago, I'm not sure that there's another bullpen in baseball that is as equipped to deal with the loss of such an arm as Luke Jackson's as the Braves are.
Yeah, I still think they, obviously they'd rather have him, but I mean, they still run, 8 deep, and and now signing, Jackson. I mean, Jansen, not Jackson. Kenley Jansen and Colin McHugh. Adding to their depth. Darren O'Day is back with them and has made the club, and is usually been a pretty effective pitcher if he's healthy. Which we say about a lot of pitchers, and Will Smith. I mean, you've got a guy who had 37 saves last year, who's now the setup guy. So, sort of reminded me when they signed Jansen. What was it? Back in the 70s, for us old timers, when the Yankees had Sparky Lyle and they went out and got Rich Gossage, and that caused a bit of a problem in the Bronx, but it looks like the Braves kind of discussed this with Will Smith, and he was all fully on board with letting Jansen be the closer, which says a lot about Will Smith too, who had was lights out down the stretch and in the playoffs.
Down the
stretch.
stretch. Yeah.
Will Smith is over there going, you mean I don't have to take the trash? I don't have to take the trash talking? Yes, please.
Well, Will made it exciting for a few months there, and but
I like that spin.
I tell you what, give Sticker credit. He never wavered on him, even when
he did not.
I cannot take another night of Will Smith coming in the ninth inning and walking the first two guys. But it was amazing. Something the switch went off there toward the end of the year, and he was pretty dominating. Thanks for bringing back some of those memories. There was a lot of rewriting we had to do, or looked like rewriting. When that ninth inning came around in Atlanta, you never had that story too ready to go, because when Will came in, you knew you might be doing some changes.
There's no question. Man.
Been there, done that. Paul Newberry of the Associated Press with us here on Main Street Sports today, talking a little Atlanta Braves from the press clubhouse at Augusta National. Paul, appreciate you taking some time with us.
Who's your pick for this weekend?
There we go.
Well, let's see. I'll go with the guy I'm going to pick in our little Calcutta draft thing. We do fantasy league thing. I'll go with Justin Thomas.
Justin Thomas. Well, we're over here all rooting for Tiger and Rory, because that's the best story, right? We're rooting for you.
Well, I would. Rory's a great story, and of course, I mean, just if Tiger makes it to the weekend, I mean, that's going to be an incredible story. I mean, just the scene tomorrow, I really can't wait to, wander out and just watch him tee off. I mean, with some of the crowds he's had around him during these practice rounds, it's just going to be electric tomorrow when he walks out there to hit that first tee shot. It's should be a fun couple of days at least.
Well, thanks so much for taking some time with us. We appreciate it, man.
Hey, nice talking with you guys. Take care.
All right. When we come back, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, but we got a few high school notes we need to put together real quick.
Quick hitters.
Some quick hitters. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today returns right after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit customstonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller bring you all the latest in sports from Robertson and Montgomery counties on the MSP North podcast, airing live Thursdays at 1 p.m. The duo talk about high school sports and beyond. This week, Brady and Blaine welcome Clarksville baseball coach Brian Hetland and Joe Burns baseball coach John Mark Hendricks, plus the one thing, players, and games of the week. Watch live on Main Street Media, social media, or listen to the podcast on your podcast distribution platform of choice. That's the MSP North podcast. Subscribe today.
You know, we dipped out of that press conference a tad too early. Yep. Jerome Bettis crashes the press conference and asks Eddie George if he thinks Tennessee State can win the game, which, of course, Eddie said, absolutely, we can. So we were a little too early on the poll there, but that's okay. It's pretty cool. Jerome Bettis is just like, hey, I'm gonna let you finish, but
right. Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh man. Some high school news that we need to clean up here. Just got a lot. Obviously, the top story of the day was, Bernard Childress retiring, and it's going to be a different world. And Mark Reeves
really is. Yeah.
Mark Reeves stepping in to succeed him. So got a lot to do there, but with several other high school news related things.
One we just mentioned off air, Janiyah Riley, who, if you saw the mainstreetmurray.com website here in the last couple of hours, our all area boys and girls basketball teams are up there, and she was a selection to the first team. But she signed this morning with UT Southern, formerly Martin Methodist. So congratulations to her. She's going to be great.
Yeah, they'll be able to use her.
Yeah. Her last 10 games or so at Columbia Central, she was outstanding. Had a triple-double one night. Just really explosive. Sees the floor so well. Really looking forward to seeing what she can do at the collegiate level. But yeah, that's one thing that we wanted to mention here, and I will yield to you from here.
Well, a couple other things in the southern Middle Tennessee area. Number one, Mount Pleasant is looking for a girls basketball coach, as Hayden Pentecost stepped aside yesterday. That story is also on mainstreetmurray.com if you want to check out the full story. As I told you yesterday, Vince Springer was suspended from his teaching and coaching duties at Culleoka. Well, today he is not suspended. He has been reinstated.
There we go.
So there's, again, a full story on mainstreetmurray.com. See, there's a recurring theme here. What you will not find on mainstreetmurray.com, however, are a couple of, I guess 3 or 4 other things outside of our area. White House Heritage has a football coach, and it's Chad Broderick.
Formerly coach at East Robertson, I believe. I think most recently he was an assistant at Gallatin. So back in the head coaching chair.
There you go.
Of the Patriots.
Michael Stevenson will take over the Glencliff football program, and we talked about their program not too long ago when they lost their coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so Michael Stevenson has been named the head coach at Glencliff for the Colts.
Played at Riverdale, I believe. So done a little youth league and some semi-pro coaching, I believe.
Okay. See one of those from the.
I'm not sure.
We don't know who he played for at Riverdale.
No. Well, I don't think he would have been a Rankin guy. I think he's been since Rankin, but
Gotcha.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. In some other basketball news, Westmoreland has a boys basketball coach, and we will talk to her tomorrow.
I like
on
the way you
Coach's
did that.
Corner. Yeah. Cherie Abner, who has spent some time as the Westmoreland's girls coach, was most recently at Green Hill, where she helped launch that girls basketball program. Will be the boys basketball coach at Westmoreland. So looking forward to talking to her about that tomorrow.
And apparently she's going to be part of a package deal. She's got a son coming with her.
That's right. And her other son is at Tennessee State.
Yeah, Riggs.
Mm-hmm. And finally, ex-Trevecca and Blackman girls basketball coach Chad Hibden was named the Tullahoma girls basketball coach. So,
yeah,
Tullahoma.
I had meant to mention his resignation last week at Blackman, but before I could remember to do it,
He
he's
wound up somewhere
landed.
else.
So, yeah, congrats to Chad.
Now we know why he resigned.
Okay.
All right, let's go into Wild and Wacky with the two zaniest guys this side of the Duck River, me and Florida man.
Here we go.
We ain't got a lot of time, so we got to just dive right
Get
in.
right to it.
South Florida robbery suspect was busted by police after robbing a woman who was walking her dog. They were in Miami's Edgewater neighborhood on Monday, and she was, like any good dog owner, cleaning up after her dog when a man with a knife approached her from behind, pushed her against the wall, and squeezed her neck. According to police, the thief attempted to remove the woman's watch and bracelets. That's when a witness started screaming from the balcony of a nearby condo complex, and the robber told the witness to shut up before stealing the victim's book bag and running off. An hour after the robbery, an officer located the suspect who fit the description of the robber, and they arrested 62-year-old William Carroll. Sorry, it says in addition to instead of in addition to, and it kind of confused me. In addition to possessing the victim's belongings and the knife. How did they know it was him? Well, when she was cleaning up, she had that poop in her hand and it got on his shirt. Yeah. That's got to be tough.
Stuff happens.
Doesn't it?
The stain of a criminal.
Yeah. I have to stop you, though, on the in addiction to.
Yeah.
Because scrolling through Twitter, as I am wont to do, last night there was a post about garlic permission.
Oh, yeah.
wings.
Garlic permission wings instead of Parmesan.
Yeah. It was close, you know.
It's like
You ask your girlfriend or your wife, can I please have the garlic wings?
And then you get
permission to eat the garlic.
Well, you know, speaking of not wanting to deal with family or, you know, it can be tough. And, you know, a lot of folks feel disturbed and trapped by family interference. And the Chinese man took it a little bit too seriously because, well, he decided to just relive the movie The Terminal. He's in his 60s and was so disturbed by his family life that his only solution, in his view, was to move to Beijing Capital International Airport, where he has lived for 14 years. 14 years.
at the airport.
At the airport.
Well, the place is probably big enough.
And why?
Because he could.
In a statement to a newspaper in 2018, he would not return home because he would then have to give up drinking and smoking. And you
You
know
can
what?
do that. You can smoke at the airport, I guess.
And drink, apparently.
Well, drinking's not a.
Yeah, that's not unusual, but
I guess they got smoking rooms still.
well, it means that he basically said that if I live at home, that I'm not allowed to do either of those things at all ever.
Yep.
I mean, you can go out and smoke anytime you want at the airport.
I guess yeah.
So anyway, all right,
Means that much to you, huh?
This is. I almost hesitate to even go here.
But you're gonna do. But you're gonna go.
You
there.
know I'm going to. Listen, we all.
He almost hesitates.
Yep.
We all know that Axe body spray is just. It's just not good. I mean, you don't want to use it. It's made for teenagers, right? Like, that's what it's made for. I mean, I used it when I was a teenager. I get it, but
Sure. Yeah.
That being said, a University of Liverpool student, as a 15-year-old, was dared to spray 2 bottles of Axe body spray on his nipples. He did, and they froze.
Oh.
They flicked his nipples while they were frozen, and
it
they
came
off. OFF off. So, of course, the now 19-year-old says he has, quote, no regrets.
Of course.
I mean, even if you did, what are you going to do?
Is that regrets?
Regrets?
R-A-G.
Not one letter.
Regards.
No regrets. Not one letter.
Yeah. Not even one letter.
Not even one letter.
That's such a good movie. Big fan of Where the Millers. That's going to do it for Wild and Wacky Wednesday and Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. We have, as we just told you, Cherie Abner will join us on Coach's Corner, and we'll have the Daily Memphium's Jeff Calkins to talk about the Grizzlies, because, of course, we're going to talk about the Grizzlies after they lose for the first time in like a month.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything, but that's okay. The Grizzlies are phenomenal, and apparently it's just been announced that their final game of the year against the Celtics will be on TNT in prime time. So the Grizzlies, man, it's pretty awesome. So,
With or without Ja?
Yeah.
No, I mean, they're pretty awesome.
They're pretty great.
With or without Ja.
Exactly, no question. And we will, of course, preview in our final segment the Atlanta Braves season opener, which will take place tomorrow night. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Masters start tomorrow as well.
And the Masters start tomorrow. So we'll have a chance to react to the beginning of the Masters, since, we're not on at 9 o'clock in the morning anymore like we used to be during the Masters. So should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great show. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us again. 2 o'clock tomorrow. Come back. We'll see you then for Mo and JP. I'm Chris Yow. Have a great day.